I've already talked about the AFC. Now let's talk about the NFC Playoff Picture and how this could go for these teams. What's going on, guys? Diggs Report here, back to another video, and I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's jump right in with the NFC East and just the craziness that's happened this year. Alright, I'm going to start by talking about last year's NFC East champs, which was the Dallas Cowboys. And Dallas, it's just been a rough season for them. I mean, there's no other way around it. They should have done more in free agency. We all know that, but it's also the fact that they've dealt with injuries and inconsistencies, and even from their star players. Dak Prescott, he had his ups and downs before going down for the year, and Micah Parsons, he's been banged up during the season. It's just not been good for the Cowboys, and that's why we're going to have another new division winner in the NFC East. I mean, this streak is just nuts how it just keeps happening to where we get a new division winner every year. It's one of the most unprecedented things in the NFL, and yet we expect it every single year. Now let's talk about the two teams that are in it for the division crown. That would be Washington and Philadelphia. Let's start with Washington. Washington, with Jaden Daniels, they started off hot, and they kind of cooled off a little bit, but now they're on a 2-game winning streak. And Eagles, right now, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. For Washington, they are really going to have to do a lot of catching up with only 5 games to go. It just doesn't seem like it's possible, but they should be in it for a wild card spot. At this point, if they can continue to play well, they should get a wild card spot. I'm just going to say that right now. Meanwhile, for the Philadelphia Eagles, if it's not for the Lions, they might be the best team in the NFC, but it's hard. It's hard between them and the Lions at this point. It's going to be interesting if those two teams meet up in the NFC Championship game, who would come out on top for them, and that would be a fun game to watch, honestly. That really would be a fun game to watch. But for the NFC East, it's pretty much Philadelphia. They're more than likely going to win this division. Washington should get a wild card spot. Dallas, just the inconsistency and the injuries have gotten to them. And then the Giants, I mean, Daniel Jones is gone. They started 3 quarterbacks this year. The defense has not been great. It's just been rough for them, and they might be the team that has the number 1 overall pick. The NFC North is the reason why I'm glad I waited to talk about this, because if I had talked about this a month ago, I think my opinion... Well, I don't think. I know my opinion of the Bears would be very different, because the Bears, I mean, they have faltered. I mean, Caleb Williams, it looked like he was getting better and better as the season was going on, and it was the same thing with the Bears, and then they just fell off the edge of a cliff, and now Matt Eberflus is out of a job, and we don't know what's going to happen with the Chicago Bears come the offseason. Now, I don't think they're going to go out and get another quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be interesting what they decide to do in terms of who do they bring in as the head coach. I know we've heard Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. We'll see if that can come to fruition, or somebody else. I definitely would think that they would go after an offensive-minded head coach, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about their playoff chances, which is basically 0. I mean, that's basically it. It's basically 0. Meanwhile, the other 3 teams, I mean, they are playing very good football. The Packers are 9-3, and they're in 3rd place of the division. That's crazy. Jordan Love has had his ups and downs this season, but the Packers have won more than they have lost, and they are in it for at least the 6th seed, which is nuts, because the 6th seed might be better than some division winners in the NFL. The 6th seed in the NFC could be better than some division winners. That's just insane when I say that out loud, but it's the truth, because the Packers, they have played good football. Have they had some inconsistencies? Yeah. But, again, they're 9-3. That's what's important right now. And as for the Vikings, I mean, no one saw this coming from them. They're 10-2, and they are still in it for this division crown. It's going to be crazy to see what happens with the Vikings at the end of the season, because Sam Darnold's been playing solid football, and hopefully he can continue to do that. Yeah, Vikings have been the biggest shock, I think, in the NFL this year. And then the Lions have just been on a tear. I mean, they've lost 1 game all season. They are in it for probably the best team in the NFL at this point. Not probably. They are definitely in it for the title of the best team in the NFL right now. I mean, again, they are 11-1. If they can continue this, they have the Packers coming up. They could essentially knock the Packers out of the race for the division if they beat them, and then they would only have the Vikings to deal with. It's just insane what's been going on in the NFC North, and unfortunately, the Bears just weren't able to keep up. And that's just what happens. I mean, that's just the sad reality. Somebody's got to finish in last place. Technically, every team in the NFC South is still in it for the division, but really for the Panthers and Saints, I just can't see them winning it. For the Panthers right now, the fact that they have played as well as they have when their expectations were basically zero going into the season, it's pretty respectable. And I know they're 9-3, but they have shown promise. I mean, last week they almost knocked off the Bucks. They almost knocked off the Chiefs. They were competitive in those games, and I know there's no moral victories in sports. However, you have to like what the Panthers are doing right now, especially since Bryce Young has taken over that starting role again. And I'd be shocked if they try to get another quarterback. I would be shocked if they try to move on from Bryce Young after the season with how well he's been playing again since he took over that starting role again. Does he still have stuff he need to work on? Absolutely, but he's a young quarterback. Hopefully he can continue to grow. For the Saints, what are they going to do at quarterback? What are they going to do at quarterback? That's the big question. Dennis Allen, he's gone as the head coach. We'll see if Mickey Loomis somehow is still able to be their GM. I'm surprised he's still there, honestly. But right now, for the Saints, it's big questions for them because they've been stuck in this case of where they want to compete, but maybe they should be doing a rebuild. And hopefully now they can finally embrace a rebuild and get back to really playoff football sooner rather than later. Now, as for the two teams that are more than likely going to win this division, Atlanta and Tampa Bay, they are tied at 6-6. Could we see a losing record team win a division in the NFL this year? It's very possible. It is. Atlanta, they started off very strong. However, they have struggled as of late. And Kirk Cousins in particular has struggled. I mean, he just threw 4 interceptions in his last game. That cannot happen. Meanwhile, for the Buccaneers, they've had their ups and downs. Baker Mayfield, I mean, he has thrown a lot of interceptions, but he's also thrown a lot of touchdowns. So at this point, with the Bucs, I feel more confident in them winning this division than I do the Falcons right now. And I mentioned this with the Falcons before. Right now, it is still playoffs or bust for me at this point with Raheem Morris and this coaching staff, because all the pieces are there and they're still having this problem with consistency. It's just not good for them right now. And meanwhile, for the Buccaneers, I mean, we know the injuries that they've had to deal with. I mean, Chris Godwin, he's out for the year. He tore his ACL. And then you have Mike Evans, who was out for a while. He just came back. But again, I still feel like with the Bucs, I'm more confident in them winning this division than the Falcons. And I know I kind of spoiled it a little bit because I would have done that at the end. But at the same time, I feel like I had to say that. I'm kind of shocked at how the NFC West has gone, but at the same time, with what has happened with these teams, I'm kind of not. Let me explain. Going into the season, I think if anybody had told you this is how this division would be going to this point, a lot of people would be shocked because at the moment, the Seahawks have the lead in the division at a 7-5 record. Right behind them are the 6-6 Cardinals and Rams, with the 49ers in last place. The 49ers have been dealing with injuries all year, and now Christian McCaffrey is out for the rest of the season. Could they still win this division? Absolutely, but right now, they're 5-7. It's going to be tough for them to win this division when you're trying to go over all 3 of these teams. And really, you would have to go on a run for that to happen, and they are just very injured. Like I said, Christian McCaffrey's out for the season. Nick Bosa's been banged up at times this year. Brandon Ayuk is out for the season. It's been rough for them, and even Brock Purdy's been banged up this year. It's just not great for them, and it's been rough for them injury-wise. They've probably been the team that's been hit most with the injury bug this year. And meanwhile for the Seahawks, I mean, they've had an up and down season. I mean, at times it's just, you wonder what's been going on with this team. And then at times, oh, they finally figured it out. I mean, the game against the Jets was a perfect example of that because they got down early in that game and then they rose up and were able to find a way to win. But you feel like the game shouldn't even been that close, and yet it was. And that's the thing. This Seahawks team has frustrated a lot of fans, including myself, because I feel like they should be better than what they have been playing as throughout the entire season. The Cardinals, they have surprised people. And I said that the Cardinals might be able to surprise people this year, and I was right. They are in the thick of it for this division. At one point, they were winning this division. Now, are they starting to falter a little? Yes. Can they come together and somehow find a way to win this division? Absolutely. But they got to do that. Kyler Murray, you take the good with the bad. Trey McBride has been a very good tight end this year. Marvin Harrison Jr., he has not had the rookie season I thought he was going to have, but he's still very solid. And the defense, they played all right. I'm going to say they have played all right. But at times, they dominate their opponents, and then they've been dominating themselves. And then you had the Rams, who I think a lot of us just had dead in the water to start the season because they struggled. I mean, they struggled. And I've said it. It's been up and down for them as well. That's just what this division has been. This division has been an up and down division. And you have no idea who's going to win this division, who's going to get that division crown. And it's going to be crazy that the South and the West, they might have the two worst division winners in the NFL this year. And I don't know really people would have seen that coming. Now, as for my predictions, Detroit gets the number 1 seed. Minnesota, Green Bay get the first 2 wildcard spots. Because this is probably the best division that I've ever seen. Because these teams are just playing so well. They are just playing so well. I just can't see these 3 teams not get the seeds that I see them getting. Philadelphia gets the number 2 seed. Alright, they are playing great. They have really hit their stride. Saquon Barkley has been a godsend to Philadelphia. And Philadelphia's just thanking the Giants that they somehow did not even offer him a contract. It's just crazy how that went down. Meanwhile, for the Giants, they get the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, they're the ones that are going to get the number 1 overall pick. Now, who wins the South? Who wins the West? And who gets the final wildcard spot? Well, Washington's getting the final wildcard spot. I feel like with the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, I think they're going to find a way to get a win streak going in this final month of the season, and they get that wildcard spot. So they're the 7th seed. And they face the Eagles in round 1 of the playoffs. That could actually be fun. Anyway, I think the 3rd seed's going to come from the West. And who's it going to be? I don't think it's going to be the Rams. I think they've just been way too up and down. I just can't see them winning this division. So it's either the Seahawks or the Cardinals. I'm going to go Seahawks. I say the Seahawks get the 3rd seed. Cardinals just miss out on the playoffs. Now, in the South, Buccaneers get the 4th seed. I already said I think it's going to be the Bucs winning this division, and I'm not faltering from that. Bucs get the 4th seed, so Lions 1, Eagles 2, Seahawks 3, Bucs 4, Vikings 5, Packers 6, Commanders 7th. That's who I think this is going to go in the NFC. But like I said with the AFC, the games still have to be played. And once again, we've seen teams rise to the occasion, and we've seen teams fall. Alright guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always, I'll see you guys next time.